Hi everybody and welcome to another ramble. I'm your host Scuba Steve, and you're probably thinking to yourself, Scuba, where have you been for the last month? I have actually been here in my home the majority of the time because I have had medical issues over the last month, in particular to what I mentioned in my previous ramble, my eye. Now at the end of August there, my eye decided to spasm out. It was the weekend where I was going from August to September. My eye started acting up on the Saturday, 1st of September. My eye was fine for the morning, but from 12 PM onwards it was just playing up something fierce and I couldn't really see properly. It didn't feel right. It felt really uncomfortable. It felt a bit painful here and there, and it was just making me groggy. So Sunday the 2nd of September came along and I couldn't open my eye without it feeling like it was on fire. It was that painful. So I followed the advice of my country's health service helpline and went to accident and emergency, where I was given a muscle paralyzer for all the muscle surrounding my eye. What was happening was that when my eye was feeling pain and spasming, the muscles around my eye socket were pushing down on my eye itself, putting pressure onto the scratch, and it was causing even more pain. It actually makes my eyes water talking about it. So I was given a muscle paralyzer as well as several antibiotic drops just to ensure that my eye was clean, that my eye had some form of relief for the next 24 hours at least, where I was then scheduled and went to a emergency ophthalmology appointment where I was given further 3 sets of drops. These 3 sets of drops I had to take an antiviral set of drops. Ophthalmologist thought there was remnants of the cold sore virus in the scratch. He wasn't 100% certain, so he gave me the antiviral drops just in case. He gave me antibiotic drops just to try and numb my eye itself, and he also gave me paraffin wax type eye gel that was meant to create a thick barrier between my eyelid and my eye that I had to put in several times a day over the course of a week. He had an original appointment scheduled for the Thursday of that week, so I then went to that appointment. He said continue taking the drops for the next week to 2 weeks. I'll actually do have a photo of what my eye looked like, not pointing out the scratch because you can't see it without optical equipment, without ocular equipment that opticians and ophthalmologists use, but I can put a picture of myself where you can see the effect that the drops were having on my eye. My pupil was approximately 2 to 3 times the size that it should be normally. That was the effect that these drops were having on me. It was affecting my eyesight to the point where everything was blurry. If I closed my left eye and tried to look out my right eye, everything was blurry. It was all mushy. I could only go outside for about 5 to 10 minutes at a time before I started feeling lightheaded, before I started having headaches, because it was super irritating and it was really uncomfortable. So I've had to deal with that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and it's been irksome because I've not been able to properly do anything. Hell, I've not even been able to go to work because of this problem with my eye. Fingers crossed though, I've been off the drops for the last 5-6 days. I figured I've been off the drops for 5 days or so, just to try and get my eye back to normal, see how it feels in the morning, because usually when I had the scratch, I was fine for the first month to 2 months after getting the scratch. It was only until end of July, start of August, I started having problems with it again. Hopefully this is my eye now healed, fingers crossed. But so much has happened since I've been here on the site. We've had Articles 11 and 13 pass in the European Parliament without any amendments, or with little to zero amendments. So that's a link tax, that's copyright enforcement on memes, which is absolutely atrocious and stupid. We've had Theresa May and the EU at each other's throats for the umpteenth time, where Theresa May has demanded respect from the EU, but the EU has just turned around and said, no, we're going to be at an impasse from now on until you come up with a viable plan, because they're just dismissing the plan that she created back in July, which half her cabinet essentially resigned over. What else has happened? PewDiePie is almost no longer the biggest YouTuber on the planet. T-Series, I believe is a Spanish YouTube label, is about to take his place. It's very imminent. There was also the KSI Logan Paul boxing match and the entire boxing event. I watched it. I watched the pay-per-view. It was very interesting to see. I liked a lot of the undercards. The Scarce versus Raka Raka fight. The FaZe Sensei fight was really nice. Deji versus Jake Paul, my thoughts on that? I kind of felt like Jake was going to win, because Jake had a slightly more athletic background to him, whereas Deji did not. But I have to commend Deji on his performance. It was absolutely fantastic. It was absolutely stellar. The main event, KSI versus Logan Paul, a majority draw. That was absolutely stupid. I would personally say that KSI won it. Logan Paul had a lot of steam, he had a lot of firepower, he had his head above the water for the first 2 rounds, but from round 3 onwards it was KSI's fight, it was KSI's match to lose. KSI had the endurance, he had that little more experience, not athletically, but within that boxing ring he did have a little more experience. You could see the two of them both on their last legs on the 6th round. You could tell like halfway through the 5th round KSI caught second wind. You could see he had more pistons on his engine, and I was really surprised that it ended at a majority draw, when I feel personally that KSI should have won it. But big props to the two of them for the match, for the event. It was absolutely astounding. I've never seen a YouTube event with such a brilliant take on it, with such a big audience. It was, when it came to the main 2 fights, the co-main event and the main event, the Deji fight and the KSI fight, the place was packed. You could take a look at the cameras, the stands were packed. That was absolutely fantastic just to see all that, and I hope that there is a resolution to the rematch that the two of them are going to have. I think, if I mind right, the rematch is actually going to be MMA. It's not going to be boxing, but it's going to be held in the first quarter of next year, I believe, and it will be MMA. And I hope KSI gets his finger out and actually goes for it. I don't think there's much else going on apart from the news that EA is also now under criminal investigation for the loot box controversy. I was really looking forward to that, and I kind of figured it was going to happen sooner or later. It was going to happen no matter what, because EA are just greedy, and I cannot wait to see them having to pay fines, having to pay sentences in jail. Who is going... I take it it's just going to be whoever pulls the short straw in the EA office of who goes to jail in which country. Not to mention the 15 countries, 4 European and Washington State over the US have actually all banded together to now start a collaborative investigation into loot boxes, and if they are deemed illegal, and if they are deemed not illegal, but if they're deemed like gambling and companies don't follow them, that's my phone by the way, if companies don't follow them, then they will be fined, they'll be thoroughly investigated, fined and sentenced. I'm looking forward to how that plays out, because I know that EA are in the firing line, and I know EA are going to fall from grace hard, and I'm looking forward to it, because they've been on their high horse for too long with the Ultimate Team stuff for their FIFA titles, which has been raking in millions and millions and millions of dollars for them for years, and it's got to stop. For me personally, it has to stop because it's just stupid. Also, Telltale Games is closing down. That news is recent, and when I say recent, I mean that in the time of recording, that news has broken within the last 24 hours. Telltale Games is closing down. They have a skeleton crew right now, and they're going to be finishing the final season of The Walking Dead series. After that, then the company will completely shut down. On other projects that they were meant to be doing, such as season 2 of The Wolf Among Us, the Stranger Things game, those have been cancelled, and I don't know if they'll ever be picked up by a future company with the same kind of styling and development as what Telltale Games has done. And I'm really sorry to see Telltale Games go, because they were absolutely magnificent. As a developer, as a gaming company, they were absolutely tremendous. I loved the Game of Thrones game. I loved Minecraft Story Mode, which is actually still going to be happening for Netflix, but it's such a shame to see such a good company go, and I wish their former developers and employees the best in the future in finding work and in getting back on their feet. Other than that, I don't think there's really much else to go on. I'm going to get back into the thing of getting videos out, because it's been over a month and that's very undeserved. I will see what I can do to just make more content in general about stuff. But until then, see you all next time. Peace!